Welcome back to another episode of Dining Through Time, the show where I take you through a history. Today, on this episode of Dining Through Time, we're going to cover the space race. And we're going to guess what we're going to make? Guess. You can't guess. I bet. No, you're wrong. We're going to make space cookies. So for much of the mid to late 20th century, the world was rooted in fear and confusion because at the time, the two biggest superpowers, the United States and the USSR, Soviet Union, now Russia, were engaged in what is called a Cold War. So what a Cold War is it is fought mainly through espionage, which is, spying on each other, trying to gain intelligence, propaganda, which is the dissemination of information that, puts your country on a pedestal and villainizes other countries. So that kind of gets people riled up and willing to contribute to a cause. And then, of course, the biggest flashpoints of the Cold War were their proxy wars. So when you look at wars like the Vietnam War and the Korean War and the partition of Germany and Berlin, these are all the tendencies of Cold Wars for the big parties, the big players, to basically manipulate a smaller country's politics and or use their status as allies of those countries to then spark conflict between each other and opposing ideologies, in this case, capitalism and communism. But the Cold War brought along a very fascinating phenomenon. It kind of highlighted the human-like tendency to always look skyward, right? We always want to get up into the sky. We want to explore the unknown. So it came as no surprise when both countries immediately rushed to space as the next frontier. They were fighting this battle on Earth, but that wasn't enough for them. So they took it to space. And thus the space race started. So both countries wanted to outdo each other with relation to space, not just because of basic human tenets, but because satellites, which are these man-made bodies in space, serve a lot of really big and major purposes for companies and governments. Right now, we use them for fun things like GPS and internet. But back then, satellites were indications of two things: that a country had the ability to spy on spy on opponents, using cameras and other techniques to kind of gain intelligence, and also that they had the possibility to launch nuclear efforts, which at the time, nuclear weapons were new, very dangerous, and a flashpoint. So when the Soviets launched Sputnik, a man-made satellite, into orbit around the Earth successfully in 1957, this really alarmed American officials. Why? Because, they were at a disadvantage. So both wanted to outdo each other and place their own surveillance satellites in the sky. And in the U.S.'s case, they also started a military program that would use space technology to evade, you can see my microphone, to evade any sort of nuclear attack. So after 1957, when Sputnik was kind of launched, the U.S. was incredibly alarmed, and so they launched their own space agency, NASA, in 1958, officially entering this galactic foray. The Soviets barreled ahead, though. In 1959, they successfully launched Luna 2, a space probe. In what the U.S. considered a massive affront, the USSR also launched their first human into orbit. Yes, they put a human in space before us. And it was a really close call because a month ahead of that, the U.S. had managed to send primates into space. And literally a month later, the month right after, in May, the Americans sent Alan Shepard, a man, into space. But they were not the first to do it, and that was a sore spot for them. Perhaps motivated by that anger, President Kennedy, JFK, released what was a very controversial statement. He said that the U.S., by the end of the next decade, would have a man on the moon. Spoiler alert, they did it. In July of 1969, after pumping countless into NASA's budget, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong became the first humans to set foot to set foot on the Earth. They effectively won the space race. NASA came a long way through this too. They developed different iterations of suits, of technologies, of foods that astronauts could eat. And of that, when I was doing my research, there was one thing that was really, really interesting to me. We're going to learn about that next. Come with me. Oh, okay, you made it. We're in a new place. If you can't tell, we're in a kitchen. I'm talking a bit quiet because this is not my kitchen. This is simply a kitchen that I am in. As you can tell by the significantly nicer setup. So here we are in the kitchen, and we're gonna make a food that has to do with space. Can you guess? I think I already told you what it is. They're space jelly cookies, which, if you didn't know, back in the day, back when they were doing testing for the Gemini space flights, they were really struggling with the issue of feeding astronauts in space. Like, early on, it wasn't a huge issue because astronauts were not in space long enough to necessitate meals, right? It was just a quick tester. Oh, can we make it into space? Now they were seriously trying to keep people in space, and to do that, you have to feed them. So they tried numerous tricks. I think Yuri Gagarin, who was the first cosmonaut in space from Russia, tried eating meat pastes out of tubes, and so they tried so many different things. But one of the really memorable things they tried that still doesn't quite make sense to me, I'm not a scientist, maybe someone can explain it to me, is encasing foods in gelatin. So it was just food doused in gelatin and molded with it, so that, you know, I guess it would not necessitate needing to clean up spills or crumbs and be easier to chew and swallow. Whatever it was, they did it, and they encased everything, like butterscotch pudding, cookies, meat, vegetables. Like, they encased real food in gelatin and just sent it up. Maybe there was a little bit more nuance to it than that, but honestly, still kind of gross. So we're gonna bake some cookies, which, fun fact, I'm gluten-free, so they have to be gluten-free, but you can use any glutinous recipe you like. And I'm using a shortbread cookie mix, because that's what made sense to me. I think shortbread cookies have a bit more body to them, and so they would be able to kind of hold their own in the gelatin a bit better. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm doing. This is just a fun experiment for you and me. So, with that said, we're gonna get started with the baking. You are gonna need cane sugar, all-purpose flour or baking flour of some sort. Again, I'm using gluten-free. Bob's Red Mill is always my go-to. Butter. Let's see if I can get it out nice and neat. Vanilla extract. You can see that. Whatever you can get. You know, you could use almond extract too, pumpkin extract, rum extract, whatever you like, you know, use it. In your mixing bowl, you're gonna add about a half a stick of butter. This is enough for one person. You could obviously multiply the recipe if you'd like. And then to that half a stick of butter, I'm gonna add 3/4 cup of sugar, which you'll wanna measure out. I'm just eyeballing this because and then you're gonna mix it thoroughly. You don't want it to get like overly fluffy, just combined and whipped through. Go ahead and add your vanilla extract. Oh, what a mess. Then mix in your flour. Your end result should look a little something like this. Hey guys, we're back. Our cookies have been baking and they're ready. Look at this. Very nice. Why did I say it like that? But yeah, look at these cookies. Yummy. We're gonna take these yummy shortbread cookies that I made and we're gonna make them kind of gross. So we're gonna encase these in gelatin, and I say for accuracy's sake, but I have no clue if I'm doing anything here right at all. But for accuracy's sake, I'm gonna be using unflavored gelatin. I don't know how that's gonna taste. I've actually never had Jell-O that isn't flavored. So, okay, so we're gonna start with some cold water. Oh boy. All right. Chair squat, no. We're gonna do 1 packet of gelatin. Oh. I'm gonna sniff it. Don't judge me. Why does it smell kind of like broth? Oh, it would smell like broth, wouldn't it? Alright, now I'm gonna let that bloom for a minute. And we'll come back when that's done. So our Jell-O has bloomed. So it's like all wiggly now. Whee! You guys can't see what I just did. Whee! I don't know why I felt the need to do a whole separate, like, on-camera delivery for that. That was unnecessary. But then again, I feel like me choosing
in the 21st century to encase perfectly good shortbread cookies made with wonderful ingredients in cold animal bones is fully unnecessary. So yeah, I actually don't know if I'm doing this the right way. I don't know if I'd recommend this to anyone. We're just doing this. It's an experiment. Don't follow me. Don't do this. I mean, you could do it. You know, it's a free country, free world. Do what you want. I don't know if this is what you want to be doing, but you could do it. This could very well be your decision that you're making. Think about that, huh? Free will.
Okay, so I guess it's time for me to try this guy out. Ooh, it can almost turn it 90 degrees. Love that. Love it. The smell, you know what, I'm not gonna smell it because the smell is really, and I don't know how to even explain what the smell is to you guys. It is really unpleasant. Like my senses are telling me not to eat it, and I'm really not a picky eater, and I really am. Like, I'm I don't know why I'm scared. It's just gelatin and a cookie, you know. I ate a bunch of the cookies on their own, you know. Yesterday, I was eating cookies left and right, cookies, and they tasted good. They tasted good. This does not look as appetizing as the original product, and that's saying a lot because I kind of messed the cookies up. Okay. I'm stalling now. Oh, whoa. Oh. Okay, let's see if I can get a good. Oh my god. No. What? Okay, guys, I think maybe I was overreacting a bit, right? Maybe it didn't warrant that much anger on my part. Actually, no, yeah, it was that bad. This was disgusting. You know what? I think earlier I was trying to be very diplomatic while I was making this. I was like, oh, if you eat unflavored gelatin, then I'm sorry. If you eat unflavored gelatin, you're crazy. This was disgusting. This was just, texturally, it was cold, it was like mushy. I hope I did this wrong. Because if they were feeding this to people in space, I am so sorry for...
I was gonna call them space people. The astronauts. Dude, that was gnarly. I don't like that one bit. Oh my god, it's still like the feeling is like lingering in my mouth. There's an aftertaste too. And I don't know how to explain it in a way that won't turn you off of whatever it is you might be eating or will eat today, but it is bad. It is a bad taste. It is not right. 0 out of 10 stars. I don't even... Like, why would you do this to perfectly good cookies? I mean, I did it, just because I did it doesn't mean you have to. I mean, bro. Just so you know how bad this is, right? This is the second batch I made. The first batch we made together. I put it in a communal fridge, and less than a day later, it was thrown out. I came back to check the next morning, it was gone. Why? Because it looked so foul that I think people just literally thought it could not be in the same fridge as their food. I have to chill, this is not so serious, but... so